This man walked into work thinking it was just another day, until a single mistake cost him everything. His past came back to haunt him in the most unexpected way, and what happened next left everyone in shock. This is a story of power, privilege, and a downfall no one saw coming. Stay tuned, because the ending, you won't believe it. Don't forget to subscribe to Racism Watchdog and turn on notifications to follow this powerful story and stay updated on this channel. The cold drizzle dripped from the edges of his coat as he stood outside the gleaming glass doors of the dealership. The neon lights reflected off the wet pavement, casting a distorted glow around him. He exhaled slowly, watching his breath swirl in the cold air, his patience wearing thinner by the second. Through the glass, he could still see them, salesmen laughing, chatting, sipping coffee. Business as usual. None of them seemed remotely interested in the man they had just dismissed. A gust of wind sent another spray of rain against his skin, but he didn't move. He just stood there, waiting, watching. A few minutes earlier, it had been a different scene. He had walked in with confidence, his stride smooth but unassuming. Dressed in dark jeans, a crisp button-down, and a well-fitted jacket, he looked professional, successful, even, but not flashy. He didn't need to be. He wasn't here to impress anyone. The showroom was a palace of polished steel and chrome. Luxury cars lined the floor, each model gleaming under bright showroom lights. The scent of new leather and wax filled the air. The kind of place designed to make people feel like royalty, if they fit the image. The moment he stepped in, he noticed it. The salesman, dressed in sharp suits, barely glanced at him. Their conversation didn't pause. A receptionist at the front desk glanced up briefly, then looked back down at her nails. His presence barely registered. It wasn't until he took a step toward the nearest car, a sleek, black sports coupe with a price tag that could buy a small house, that one of the salesmen finally approached. A tall man in his late 40s, with graying hair and an expensive-looking watch, sauntered over, a practiced smile on his face. But something in his eyes said otherwise. "Can I help you?" The words were polite, but the tone carried an edge. "Yes," the man said evenly, running a hand along the polished hood of the car. "I'm interested in buying something high-end today. Maybe this one." The salesman's smile faltered, just for a second. His eyes flicked up and down, scanning him. Then, in a voice too dismissive to be professional, he said, "We're a bit busy right now. Why don't you wait outside? One of us will be with you later." There it was. Not a direct no. Not an outright rejection. Just a carefully crafted dismissal. Across the room, a younger employee, probably in his early 20s, had been watching. His posture stiffened slightly at the exchange, his face uncertain. But he didn't say anything, just stood there, awkwardly shifting from foot to foot. The CEO, though no one here knew he was one, didn't argue. He didn't push. He simply nodded, gave a polite smile, and turned toward the door. Now, here he was, outside, in the cold, waiting, not because he had to, not because he had no other options, but because he was taking note of every single detail. This dealership, after all, prided itself on delivering a VIP customer experience. The banners hanging inside the showroom boasted about their luxury treatment, their white glove service, their commitment to high-net-worth clients. And yet, here he was, an actual VIP, standing in the rain, while the staff inside laughed over coffee. He glanced at his watch. He could have left, could have walked to his car and driven to another dealership across town, one that would gladly roll out the red carpet for him. But no, that wasn't what he was going to do. Instead, he pulled out his phone, dialed a number, and spoke 2 words, "Send them in." Inside, the young salesman looked toward the glass doors, shifting on his feet. Something about the man outside, his calmness, his stillness, felt off. Not like someone who had just been turned away. Not like someone used to being dismissed. More like someone who was choosing to wait. The kid swallowed hard, a strange, uneasy feeling settling in his gut. Something was about to happen. Something big. The cold rain had lightened, but the damp chill still clung to the air. The CEO stood outside, hands in his pockets, his expression unreadable. Inside, the warmth of the showroom bustled with energy, the same energy that had been utterly absent when he walked in. Through the glass, he watched as the doors swung open again. This time, it was a white man in casual jeans and a hoodie. His shoes were slightly scuffed. His jacket looked like it had seen better days. Yet the moment he stepped inside, the difference was undeniable. The transformation in the staff was immediate. A salesman rushed over, his grin wide and eager. "Welcome in, sir. How can we assist you today?" Another one quickly followed, pulling up a chair, offering a bottle of chilled water, a freshly brewed espresso. The senior salesman, the same one who had dismissed the CEO, strode over with an exaggerated smile. "Looking for something special today? We've got some incredible deals on our top models." The CEO watched all of this unfold from the outside. No waiting. No hesitation. No condescending instructions to stand outside in the rain. The irony was so thick it was almost laughable. He exhaled slowly, rolling his shoulders. His patience, something he prided himself on, was thinning. Back inside, the senior salesman whispered something to a passing manager. The manager, a stiff-looking man with graying hair and a pressed suit, glanced toward the glass doors. His eyes landed on the CEO, brows furrowing slightly. But then, just as quickly, he looked away and kept walking. Dismissed. Again. The CEO's grip on his phone tightened slightly, but his expression remained calm. Then, movement. The younger salesman, the one who had hesitated earlier, was shifting nervously behind the desk. He looked from his colleagues, who were fawning over their new customer, to the man outside. Something in his posture changed. Finally, after a moment's hesitation, he squared his shoulders and made a decision. Pushing past his fellow employees, he walked toward the glass doors. The CEO raised a brow, watching the kids approach. The younger salesman stepped outside, adjusting his tie, clearly uncomfortable. Sir, do you have an appointment?" The CEO let a small smile play on his lips. His answer was simple, something like that. The young man swallowed, shifting from foot to foot. I didn't mean for you to have to wait outside. It's just a policy to prioritize customers with appointments." The CEO tilted his head slightly. "Policy." The young man's face burned. He knew it was a weak excuse. He had seen with his own eyes that the so-called policy didn't seem to apply to everyone. The CEO studied him for a long second. Then, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, checking the screen. It was his assistant. He answered. "Yeah." The assistant's voice was crisp, efficient. "Sir, the corporate office just called. They're expecting the anonymous luxury buyer to arrive at the dealership any minute now." A pause. Then, knowingly, "That would be you." The CEO smirked. The assistant continued. "Oh, and one more thing. The owner of the dealership? He's already on his way. He'll be there in the next 10 minutes. The CEO's eyes flicked toward the glass doors. Inside, the senior salesman was still laughing with his preferred customer. The manager was tapping away on his computer, unconcerned. None of them had any idea what was about to happen. The power shift had already begun, and they were still blissfully unaware. The air was thick with tension as the CEO stood outside, hands still tucked into his pockets, waiting. Then, the deep hum of a high-end black SUV rolled into the lot. The dealership's owner stepped out, a distinguished older man in a tailored suit, his polished shoes clicking against the pavement. His expression was warm, confident, expecting to greet his VIP client with the respect and courtesy they deserved. He scanned the entrance, looking past the CEO. Confusion flickered across his face. Then, the CEO stepped forward. The owner's polite smile faltered. "Sir, I believe there's been a mistake," the owner said, glancing toward the showroom. "I was told the VIP was already here." The CEO's voice was calm, steady. "I am the VIP." The owner's face twitched, as if he misheard. His eyes flicked to his staff inside, the senior salesman, the manager, the younger employee. Inside, the staff had frozen, watching through the glass, their faces rapidly losing color. The senior salesman took a half-step back. The manager, who had so easily dismissed the CEO before, suddenly looked nauseous. The younger employee stood stiffly at his desk, his gaze darting between the CEO and his panicked coworkers. The owner's brows drew together. "Wait, so you're—" "That's right," the CEO said, letting the weight of the moment sink in. "And I was told to wait outside." Silence. The realization hit like a thunderclap. The showroom was dead quiet, save for the hum of the luxury cars on display. The senior salesman opened his mouth, but no words came out. His face was slick with sweat. The manager took a deep breath, as if about to form an excuse, but the look on the CEO's face stopped him cold. The owner turned sharply toward them, his polite demeanor shifting into something much colder. "Is this how we treat people?" No one answered. The senior salesman swallowed hard, his gaze darting around, searching for an escape. The manager's hands clenched into fists at his sides, as if bracing for impact. The younger employee stood frozen, waiting to see what would happen next. The owner reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. Without another word, he pressed a button and lifted it to his ear. A single command: "Escort them out. Now." The words sent an instant jolt through the room. Security moved in. The senior salesman's face crumpled. Wait, sir. This is a misunderstanding. No." The owner cut him off, his tone icy. "The only misunderstanding here is that you thought you could judge who was worth your time." The senior salesman stammered, looking to the manager for help. But the manager, his own career on the line, had gone completely silent, shoulders slumped in defeat. Security took each of them by the arm and led them toward the exit. The young employee remained motionless. His breath was shallow, as if waiting to see if he would be thrown out. But then, the owner's gaze landed on him, and the nod was subtle, but approving. "You," the owner said, voice softer but firm. "You stay." A rush of relief washed over the young man's face, but he kept himself composed. The CEO, who had remained silent throughout the ordeal, finally turned to the owner. Their eyes met. The owner sighed. "Sir, I'm deeply sorry." The CEO lifted a hand, stopping him. "I'm not looking for an apology." A beat of silence. "I'm looking for a dealership that understands real customer service," the CEO finished, stepping toward the glass doors. Then, with a smirk, he glanced back at the owner. "Tell me, do you think I'll find it here?" The owner's jaw tightened. He already knew the answer. As the CEO walked past the stunned staff and out the door, the tension remained thick in the air. But the lesson, that would stay with them forever. What happened next? Did the senior salesman try to talk his way out of it? What lesson did the young employee learn? And did this CEO ever buy a car from this dealership? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done in his place?